What is up, everybody? Coach Ken from Giving It a Try. Today we are talking flat tires. Very important thing here to note is the skill of changing the actual tire or tube, or whether tubeless or clincher. That's a skill in of itself. Another skill, which you kind of need to learn beforehand, is getting your wheels on and off the bike proficiently. Now, the front wheel is very simple, especially if you have a through axle like this, which is going to use some type of Allen key, and your bike probably has one attached to it. I like to store that little key that comes with it inside my flat tire kit so it doesn't fall off. Some of them are stored right there. You'll see a little lever on there. That lever actually comes off. Or you'll actually have a regular skewer, a regular spring-loaded skewer that's very easy to get on and off on these bikes. Whatever it is, you need to be comfortable with that. Now, yes, it's very easy with a bike up on a rack to just get these wheels on and off, but practice. Lay your bike down in a grassy area. That's always the first thing. If you think there's a mechanical issue, you need to lay your bike down out there, especially on a race course. Find somebody's lawn, go off the roadway. Don't just panic and drop it there on the concrete. It's gonna get all scratched up. Take the time, lay it down drive side up so you can make sure that you're not damaging anything on the drive side where the chain is there. Practice though, practice getting at first that front tire on and off efficiently. You know, just work on that skill. That should be something you're doing every month on your bike, is just practicing that. And then the rear, obviously, it's funny, most of my flat tires out there have been in the rear. So chances are being able to just get this off with a quick screw on and off is not going to be the case out there. So really practice that. I'll even make a separate video for that on how to get your rear tire on and off very easily while it's laying down on the side, because that's definitely a skill and something that frustrates people the most. But let's get into it real quick here on some tips and tricks on changing a tire out here. I'm actually going to be replacing my tires and tubes with a new set here. But if now you're on the side of the road, you got your wheel off, I like to make a pile of parts there on the ground. This has been key in the last few flats that I've had out there, because things start falling in the grass and you kind of lose them. So like valve stem comes off, start making a pile for it. If you have this this lock washer here, again, you got to loosen that up on your bike wheel there. And again, try not to lose it. If you can't get it back on for the rest of the ride, that's fine, but leave it in that pile of parts right there. Chances are you're already going to hear or have heard this noise already, or something's wrong. Most of mine have been a slow leak, something very small that punctured, and every rotation of the wheel is what's releasing the air out of that puncture. A tip for the rear wheel, if you think something's off, I always look down right between my legs in the back, and I'll see if my wheel, you know, look at it on a normal day, you won't be able to see much tire actually on the outside of your rim. But when you look down now at your rear tire when you're pedaling and you start to see it bubbling out, you're starting to see more tire than usual, that's a sign that you're probably losing air and the tire is going flat. When in doubt, just pull off to the side of the road. I've done it even in a race before when I thought something was off. Pull off to the side of the road, just dismount, just give it a quick feel. It may give you that mental mindset of like, oh no, all right, everything's good, we're good, and then you can keep hammering on, especially if it's a technical course out there. So here we go, we're flat here. I mean, this is a bad day, but hey, things could be worse. It's good to know if your tires are hard to get on. Sometimes they kind of are on certain types of wheels and certain types of tires that you get. So you inevitably have to get that bead off there, and that's when in your flat tire kit, this tire lever comes into play. Be very, very careful not to grab the tube in there. I like to go away from the valve stem for now and just go on the other side. It's you can pull it back. It's going to be fully flat. If not, let all the air out if it's a slow leak, and just get it in there. If you've got some play like this, you're good. You're not attached to the tube or anything like that. And put it between your legs and go down towards the ground, because if you're coming up, you might punch yourself in the face. So nice and easy, downward. You just want to pop it off. You don't have to go all the way around. And once it's there, slowly, gently start taking off one side of the tire all the way around. You don't have to take the whole tire off. That's a little trick there that'll make you a little more efficient. There you go. The tire is still connected on the one side here, like that. And now what we can do with the tube is reach in there, again, farthest from the valve stem, pull the tube out, go down to where the valve is, flip around. You're just going to pull the tire back to expose the valve and pull it out. And now your tire is still good on there. You still, it's not fully apart. You just don't have things everywhere. Take this tube. I like to throw this over my shoulder because I know this is the bad tube for now. I haven't discarded it yet. Because if you've already rifled through your bag and the tubes are out and you throw it down, you're going to be like, oh no, which one was the real tube there? And trust me, all these things have happened before. That's why I mentioned them. Now we have to assess though, why did this go flat? Like, we need to fix why it went flat so it doesn't go flat again. You may want to look on the outside to see if there's anything obvious, if there's something stuck in there. I've had a screw head before, I've seen things. But sometimes you look all the way around and you're like, I got nothing, like we're good. Be careful, take your hand, take it to the inside and gently, very slowly, run your hand through the tire. You probably, if something's still in there, it was a slight puncture. My last one was a very, very small, thin piece of metal. Someone actually said it might have been a piece of like a street sweeper bristle that maybe was on the side of the road there. Super fine where I didn't see it on the outside tire, but ooh, I felt it on the inside. So going around there, again, just run it. And if you feel it, oh, right there, try and get it out, pull it out, and you're good. The next is, if it was something that went through your tire, something big, we need to determine, is the tire still viable? Or is the tire gashed fully through, where I have one right here, I actually marked this tire here. We had two big cuts through this tire right here. And if you kind of bend the tire, you'd be like, whoa, I can see entirely through the tire. That's when that tire boot comes into play. Again, preventing that from happening again as you continue on with your ride. This boot's been in you for a couple years. It's still sticky, and you can even put this tire on in an emergency and still use it. It'll actually be pretty good. So if you do have a big puncture through your tire, a tire boot may be necessary. That's going to close the hole in the tube there so you don't puncture it again with another tube. And then continue on with your repair. You can put that right in there. And then take a look at the tube. Just see, it's good to know where it's at. A little tip is you can actually loosen the valve on these. Put some air in there and you'll either hear it or close the valve. See, I've actually got air in here. I'll run my hand around and I'll see like a little, just be blowing out there. And then you can verify too by looking at the tube. Was it on the outside where the tire goes, or was it on the inside? Because sometimes you may look at the tire, nothing's wrong. I don't understand, I can't find it. Then you look at the tube. If it was on the inside, you may have a problem with your rim tape or a spoke or something got inside of there. So it's good to just know, again, fixing for the future where that problem was on there. So once we're good with that and we kind of understand where we're at, that tube, don't chuck it, because if it's a small little hole, if you're carrying patches, you could potentially patch this, especially if you're on a super long ride or on a race or something like that. You might actually be able to reuse this in the future by just putting a patch on it for that ride if you need, especially if you're only carrying one tube. This is now going to be your spare tube. I wouldn't recommend just patching it and putting it back in. I always recommend a fresh tube, for the rest of the ride, just in case that patch fails. So take all the air out of this, and then you could stuff it right in the back jersey, get it out of the way so you don't mix it up with any of your other stuff. Take out your new tube that you're going to do, and chances are it's going to be flat as a pancake because it's probably been jammed under your seat or something like that. You just want to put a little bit of shape inside of it. So that is when you loosen up here, your valve right here. Just a little bit of air, close it, and that'll give you just a little bit of fluff to the tire there. Come here now to your rim, which is still has the tire on there. One of these pro tips that people like is line up the lettering here of your tire with the hole of your valve. It's very easy then when you spin your bike to know where the valve is, because you're just looking for the logo on the tire there. Pop in the valve stem first. Again, we're going to be right here. If you can see that, we're going to go right through, and then we're just going to lay this out across the tire here. Get it inside the tire. Again, it will have a little bit of shape to it, so it's going to help. If you have too much, let a little air out. And you want to get it Look at that. It's right in there, almost all the way. Want to get it into the U shape of the wheel as best as possible. You don't want to pinch it as we're putting it on there. Once it's in there, you can take a little pressure out if it's a little overinflated. But now it's in there. I mean, it's set. We just got to get the tire back on the bead there. And how do we do that? Is I like to start furthest from the valve stem, and I'll show you why in a second. So we're furthest away here, and we're just slowly going side to side. Be careful if the tube is between the tire and the rim that you're not pinching it as you go through. This should be a very gentle process. You don't want to really, you know, hammer it too much here. And then we get all the way over here to where the valve stem is. And usually you get that last part and you're like, oh, this is the worst part of changing a tire. The good part about being where the valve stem is you can push the valve stem in to make sure you're not pinching the tube. It pushes the tube all the way to the top of the tire, and that allows you to get a nice fold in there. Use the meaty part of that hand. If you're using your fingers, it's like, it just burns. But use the meaty palm of your hand to come around here, get as close as you can, and then push that valve stem up to get the tube out of there, making sure it's not pinching or anything like that. And then all you gotta do, pop it right there, and then you're in. It's not stuck, you got some there, and then look around. You should see, it should be seated pretty good. You might have to pull it out just a little bit, the tire. It will seat once you have the tire and tube in there properly. Now, I don't have a CO2, actually I do. I have one right here. Here we go. I have the CO2 head that I recommend. Again, there's different ones. This one has an on-off. Some of them are, you have to have this on, you screw the CO2 in and it goes in right away. This has an on-off so you can control it. It's open and closed. So if you keep it on close, and I believe we have a CO2 right here, so perfect. You can puncture this when you're ready to go. You'll hear there was a very little bit of air going in there. But because we're in the closed position, we're locked and loaded, and this is the handle right here. We're gonna open our valve. This one actually screws onto the valve. And why I like this is because you don't waste any CO2 with this one. Really what it's meant for is, if you buy the right CO2 cartridge, one full CO2 will fill this to the proper pressure. So you just wanna send it and get full pressure in there. You don't have to worry too much about it. So this screws on to the threads there in the valve. And this is the way it should be on the side of the road, just like that. Ready to go, ready to inflate. Go slow because you do want to make sure that this tire does sit and bead properly around here. If it doesn't pop out all the way, you'll see like it will just wobble a little bit in there and you may have to deflate and reflate there. So just a little bit to make sure you're not losing anything. And then you can kind of send it. You hear that popping, that means we're seating properly. I like to cut it just before the end just to make sure that we're good. I have a nice line right here. Everything is even. We're in the bead right here. These cartridges do get cold. There's no need really for an insulator. It's really not that cold. And I mean, we're inflated right here. We're good to go. And again, a little more. If you feel like it's good, close it. And then open up you got to loosen it. You got to come off here on your valve. And then make sure you close up that valve as soon as it comes off. There we go, valve's closed. We got pressure in here. We're gonna put our nut back on right here from our spare parts that we had. And here we go. Inspection one more time, we are good. And then again, just back to that basics of getting your tire or your wheel on and off the bike, whether it was a front or rear, and then continue on. Clean up all your stuff, just stuff it in your pockets. You can deal with it when you get to transition if you're on a triathlon or something like that. If you think you have a little bit more left in here, shove that in your pocket too, just in case you need or have a slow leak or something like that and you need to actually put a little more in. But there you go. We just changed the tire. It was stress-free. And just note, there is a rotation on these tires here. So if you do have a non-disc, you have regular rim brakes here, sometimes you just want to make sure that you put your tire on with the rotation in the proper orientation. If these do have rotation symbols on these tires, I like to put them in silver Sharpie so that you can find it really quickly and be like, all right, that's the way this has to go on, because with a rim brake it can go on both ways. With disc brake, it's pretty obvious which way this has to go on. But if you're installing new tires, keep a note on that as well, if it is directional, to go around there and take care of that. And then if it's race day, get to the end of it, deal with it the next day. But if you're coming back from a training ride, just remember, if you did use CO2 in this, you're going to come out the next day or 2 days later. This tire is basically going to be flat. The CO2 comes out of latex, these butyl tubes, pretty quickly over a day or two. So you'll come out here and be like, oh my God, my tire's flat again. I recommend as soon as you get back, just drain all the CO2 out down to flat, grab your pump, fill it up with air, and then let it sit for a day or two with the air in it, because if it's holding regular air after a couple days, just like your other tire, it means you fixed the flat, means you're good to go, you're a pro now, and you are solid on it. If you're local, you need a flat tire clinic, let me know. If you have any other questions or want another video specifically for a certain part of this, let me know. But for now, stay safe, stay healthy, keep balancing life 1 mile at a time. I'll catch you on the next one.